called lobby conning. We're still like roaming around and it's still like... What are you doing? What are you doing? Why do you do that?
Okay, wait. Oh wait, what's happening?
Wait, fighting? What the fuck, they're fighting?
Oh shit.
What the fuck? Yo!
Oh shit. Oh shit, he actually kicked? Oh
yeah.
shit. Oh fuck. That's crazy, wait.
Wait, why did you do that? Oh, remember.
Oh shit. Should I just...
How did we get here? How does somebody become so hated that people on the internet are celebrating and memeing about a random teenager dressed as Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen assaulting you at a convention? Well, that guy getting jumped is Amos Yee Pang Sang, I think that's how you pronounce it. Mostly known as Amos Yee by the wider internet as a whole. Amos Yee was once a guy that had the respect of a lot of people online, especially in the quote-unquote skeptic community in its heyday, but any respect he had quickly shifted into disgust and hatred for reasons that were 100% Amos's fault. And the hatred he has earned is 100% justified. You see, Amos has been arrested and convicted for being a PDF, but I am getting ahead of myself here, so let's jump back to the very beginning. Buckle up. This might be a long one and a bit overly detailed. You might even say this video is
dripping with autism.
So let's rewind the clocks a bit.
This person should be deplatformed, and every account they fucking use on social media should be banned.
Would you look at that? Would you look at that? I mean, how could we have seen this coming? I didn't see this coming, did you?
Everybody, I know what everybody turns around and says. Amos is trolling, like he was trolling you in that stream. He was trying to be edgy and stuff like that, but I believe that he fully believes the things that he's saying.
Why hasn't anyone said, fuck yeah, the guy is dead?
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when the pedophile issue is not a hot topic? Are you gonna move on to something else? What's your next shtick? What are you moving on?
So Amos Yee was born in 1998 in the nation of Singapore. Spoiler alert for later, him being from Singapore is going to be very relevant as this video goes on.
In the business, we call this foreshadowing.
Now, according to Wikipedia, his parents both had backgrounds in mathematics, one being a computer engineer and the other being a math teacher. It also says he was raised Catholic and was an altar boy, but he was fired from that job because he apparently used profanity during a meeting. He also began questioning Catholicism, and after watching channels like The Amazing Atheist, he walked away from religion as a whole. I bring that up because all of that is going to become relevant, but for now there's something else interesting about his childhood. Amos was a child actor. Yeah, in 2011 he was in a film that was part of the New Paper short film competition called First Film Fest. The film he was in called, I don't know if it's pronounced Jan or John. Anyway, he won Best Actor and Best Short Film awards. He not only acted in the film, but he also made it in his bedroom, and he pulled an Eddie Murphy and portrayed all 4 characters. The movie was about a boy and his 3 friends trying to help out a girl who was dealing with cancer. From what I could find, it sounds like it was a bit of a dark comedy. But this movie garnered attention, and he was later offered an internship and an audition for a film by one of the judges named Jack Neo. The film was called We Not Naughty and released in 2012. That title becomes darkly hilarious later because Yee isn't naughty. He's something far worse than that.
A lot worse.
He had 3 scenes in this movie and he was allowed to write his own dialogue for them. Sounds like things were looking up for him, but it didn't take long for everything to come crashing down. If there is one thing that I notice about Amos Yee, is that he always seems to lust for attention. And I think he's a big follower of the phrase, the only bad publicity is no publicity, which is not always the case. In fact, I'd go on a limb and say that in most cases, that statement is false. Something Yee will find out very quickly, several times, and refuse to learn his lesson. You see, Amos began a YouTube channel in 2012, and there was one particular upload that became really controversial because he mocked Chinese New Year and the Chinese Zodiac. Now you might be thinking, so? What's the big deal with that? And I would agree with you, but Amos lived in Singapore at the time. And Singapore, let's just say, they're way more strict about, everything, from what I can tell.
Nigga, did I just catch you having fun?
Hell, you can get caned in public for breaking laws over there. To give you an idea of how strict Singapore is, chewing gum is illegal. You cannot sell it, import it, or otherwise just bring it into Singapore if you are a tourist, for example. And you're in extra trouble if you spit the gum out. If you break this law, you can get fined up to 100 grand, or you can face 2 years in prison. Yes, you heard me. 2 whole years in prison for gum. That's not even scratching the surface here. But anyway, going back to Amos, that video got a lot of backlash from the government and just people in Singapore in general. It was so bad, articles were written about it. But just how offensive was the video though? Well, thankfully, someone named Amos Yee, perfect name by the way, archived it right here on YouTube. So let's take a look. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is an issue with the original video or the archive or how it was recorded or something, but it's paying to one ear and it's a little bit painful. I'm gonna see if I can try and rebalance it in post. I don't know if I can. If I don't, I apologize in advance.
Hello! In my country, Singapore, we celebrate Chinese New Year on February, which I don't get. We already have a New Year, so why do we have Chinese New Year? It's like somebody from China said, hey, America has a New Year and we don't have one. Oh, let's quickly copy that idea and then make it a festive season for us. Yeah, after all, we've been copying America for food, cars, machines, and other stuff, so no hard doing it here. And we'll make the most creative name for the copy of the New Year. We'll call it Chinese New Year. And we can make it influential by giving a 1-month holiday to all the children. We can also put in random animals on each year and call them the signs of the zodiac. Zodiac? Yeah, because every time I go to a zoo, I always want to act. So let's just call it the signs of the zodiac. Yeah, now nobody will figure out that we ripped off New Year. Let's spread the word. Okay, that really didn't happen. It was just my fake representation. All I'm saying is that it really doesn't make sense to me because it's just rehashing the same idea again. Well, anyways, hope my fellow Chinese people have a happy Chinese New Year. And I hope other races can join in the festive season that we Chinese people do. So sing in Kuai Le, 万事如意. I have no idea what that means, but I heard other people say it. So bye. I'm going to go buy Yen. So bye, guys.
You know what? Maybe I'm just desensitized because I'm used to shit like South Park and other things that would mock everything under the sun. Quite viciously, I might add. But this seems really mild. Maybe there was something inflammatory that he said at the end there in Chinese. I don't speak Chinese. I have no idea what he said. Maybe I'd be more offended if I was Chinese. I don't know. But either way, people were not happy with this video. There was a lot of comments calling him ignorant, saying he needed to apologize, and others wanted to boycott that film We Not Naughty over this. In an interview, Amos responded to the backlash by saying,
I am Amos Yee. I don't care what people think. They can hate me for all they want. It shows that people are interested in me.
So yeah, dude didn't give a fuck, which at the time I think garnered him a lot of respect from people outside of Singapore who had caught wind of the situation. I couldn't find anything to show if he faced any legal repercussions from that. But instead of laying low, he continued to push the envelope by making other videos. Wikipedia claims he at one point made a video about homosexuality, which at the time was illegal over there, but it does sound like as of 2023, that's not the case anymore. Wikipedia states that sexual acts between men was illegal, until 2023, but women can get freaky with each other all they wanted to and not get in legal trouble. I guess double standards based on sex exist over there too.
Well, what about lesbians? Like anyone cares about dykes.
Unfortunately, I tried to see if I could find an archive of that video just to see what he said and if there was anything inflammatory there, but I can't find it on YouTube. Anyway, that was not the main thing that propelled Amos into infamy over in Singapore. No, that was his criticism of the former Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, who had died on May 23rd of 2015. Amos, in his infinite wisdom, uploaded a video 4 days later, yes, less than a week after the guy had died. Body ain't even cold yet. And he titled that video, Lee Kuan Yew is finally dead. The video definitely ruffled a lot of feathers, pun intended, and let's find out why. Thank you for Boomerang Dog for re-uploading this. I'm not gonna play the whole thing for the sake of time, I'll just play you some highlights.
Lee Kuan Yew is dead, finally. Why hasn't anyone said, fuck yeah, the guy is dead? Lee Kuan Yew was a horrible person. Because everyone is scared. Everyone is afraid that if they say something like that, they might get into trouble, which, give Lee Kuan Yew credit, that was primarily the impact of his legacy. But I'm not afraid. So, if Lee Hsien Loong wishes to sue me, I will oblige to dance with him. Come at me, motherfucker, to our country. He was a dictator, but managed to fool most of the world to think he was democratic, and he did so by still granting us the opportunity to vote to make it seem like we have freedom of choice. However, during your rule, you controlled the entire media and education, proliferating nationalistic propaganda on a daily basis. Like right now, since Lee Kuan Yew is dead, all day you see 24-hour news coverage of necrophiliacs sucking Lee Kuan Yew's dick. Tarian. Now, seeing what Lee Kuan Yew has done, I'm sure many individuals who have done similar things comes to mind, but I'm going to compare him to someone that people haven't really mentioned before. Jesus. And the aptness of that analogy is heightened, seeing how Christians seems to be a really big fan of him. They are both power-hungry and malicious, but deceive others into thinking that they are compassionate and kind. Their impact and legacy will ultimately not last as more and more people find out that they're full of bull. And Lee Kuan Yew's followers are completely delusional and ignorant, and have absolutely no sound logic or knowledge about him that is grounded in reality, which Lee Kuan Yew very easily manipulates, similar to the Christian knowledge of the Bible and the work of a multitude of priests. On the surface, he seemed quite successful. He turned Singapore from a small seaport into a bustling metropolis, rife with skyscrapers and its own casino. Look deeper, and you find out what the true nature of Lee Kuan Yew's Singapore is. I'm sure most of your parents have told you how luxurious Singapore is, and how if you go to another country it would be much harder and much more expensive. But all you have to do is do a Google search, look at our country's statistics, and you will find out how fucking delusional and ignorant and stupid your parents are. Most people in Singapore are struggling to make ends meet, and it is reported that Singaporeans work the longest hours in the world. We are one of the richest countries in the world, but we have one of the highest income inequalities, highest poverty rates, and our government spends one of the lowest on healthcare and social security. So there you go, Lee Kuan Yew. An overrated, overglorified person, a dictator, and exceptionally Machiavellian in nature. Good riddance, Lee Kuan Yew. I neither hope and neither will you Rest in peace.
To summarize the video, Amos raises criticisms of income inequality and the high taxation and how absurdly high the income is for Singaporean politicians when you compare it to other leaders around the world. He also criticizes Lee Kuan Yew for having so much control over media and press to control his image, and how he would oppress anyone who dared to criticize him, and essentially he was making people praise him out of fear and threats of litigation or other punishments if they didn't. He calls him a dictator that tricked everyone into thinking he was democratic. It's a really scathing criticism, but honestly in a vacuum, ignoring what Amos would do later, I kinda had to respect this video. Again, I'm saying that in a vacuum, like if we just ignored everything else he does after this. I don't know if everything he said is, factually accurate or if he's misrepresenting things, but I personally think anyone should be allowed to mock anyone, especially politicians. Now, being happy a guy is dead though, that's a little bit more of a gray area for me. It really does depend on what kind of person we're talking about here. I wouldn't feel bad for celebrating the death of a serial killer or a child molester or something like that, for example. Again, I'm not Singaporean, if you can't tell by my voice. I've never stepped foot in nor lived in Singapore as of making this video, so there's definitely a lot that I don't know. What I do know is this video pissed off a lot of people, including the government, something Amos knew was likely to happen. You see, Singapore has a law called the Sedition Act of 1948, and according to Wikipedia, it prohibits seditious acts and speech and the printing, publication, sale, distribution, reproduction, and importation of seditious publications. Sedition is defined as the overt conduct such as speech or organization that tend towards rebellion against an established order. So basically speaking out against any ruling party. Wikipedia also says when it comes to the Singaporean law, the intention of the offender is irrelevant. And if I understand that correctly, I'm no lawyer, no legal background at all. If you say something that authorities deem as seditious, even if it was not intended as such, you can still be punished under this act. It does go a lot deeper than that, obviously, but this law also applies to anything that would promote feelings of ill will or hostility between different races or classes of population. This act was later repealed in 2022, but that's not gonna matter for where we are in the timeline. Again, there's a lot more nuance to this stuff because it's law, and like I said, I don't have any background in that. But for the sake of pacing on the video, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Funnily enough, Amos's mom urged him to not upload the video, but we all know how that turned out. And he did find himself in legal trouble. I think that's an understatement because he was arrested on March 29th of 2015, according to an article. And there were at least 20 public complaints filed to the police that called for an investigation. All of these complaints were about the Lee Kuan Yew video, which was taken down from his channel, but was obviously archived and re-uploaded. But that wasn't the only thing he got in trouble for. His blog also became a problem due to obscene material. And by obscene, I mean that there was an image of Lee Kuan Yew butt-fucking Margaret Thatcher. I'm sorry, that sounds like something out of South Park. I found an archive of it, and the article and the way I've described it makes it sound more explicit than it is. And I probably still can't show it on YouTube though, but to kind of describe it to you, it's like an MS Paint drawing of the act. It's not detailed really in any way. There's no genitals shown, and it has Margaret and Lee's faces photoshopped on top of some poorly drawn people. I've seen a lot worse. Anyway, the article also claims he was arrested because of his comments on religion, which is something the Singaporean government also does not like. You're not allowed to insult people's religions over there. Or at least at the time, I don't know if that's changed. And you know what? It might be simpler to make a list of what the Singaporean government does like instead of listing what they dislike. I imagine the dislike list would be thicker than a George R.R. Martin novel. But this incident and situation got attention beyond Singapore's borders, and people were calling for his release. The police were charging him with deliberate intention of wounding the religious or racial feelings of any person, putting into circulation an obscene object, and threatening abusive or insulting communication. And this was under the country's Protection from Harassment Act. He was facing jail, a fine, or both if he were convicted. So yeah, they weren't fucking around with this, and they did not appreciate his antics. He was released on a $20,000 bail and prohibited from posting online content while the case was ongoing. Yee pulled a Frieza and said, I'll ignore that, because he violated his bail conditions on April 14th because he made a blog and a Facebook post and asked for donations to fund his legal fees. But these posts also contain links to the offending video and image in question. He got remanded for this in the Chongji prison from the 17th to the 21st of April. Wikipedia says no bail was posted, despite the bail amount only requiring a pledge instead of being physically deposited. He did get released on bail by a man named Vincent Law, and my brain immediately jumped to Vincent Law from Ergo Proxy. Man, that anime was wild. Anyway, Vincent was a Singaporean Christian family youth counselor, and Amos had 3 lawyers willing to represent him pro bono. That's how big this case had gotten. So it sounds like he caught a bit of a break here. Now, would you believe me if I told you that wasn't the last time he broke conditions of his bail? Because he did it again on the 29th of April. Yeah, 8 whole days after getting bailed out, he was back at it again. What the fuck? Before we get into that, there's something that happened on April 30th that is kind of funny. While on his way to a pre-trial conference, a man named Neo Jim Hua, I hope I pronounced that right, slapped the shit out of him. Neo got arrested 12 hours later and was sentenced to 3 weeks imprisonment. But back to the blog post. He made 2 more of those. One of them was questioning his bail terms, and the other, well, he accused his father of physical abuse. The judge asked him to take that down, but he refused, and his bail got jacked up to $30,000, and he was again remanded. He pled not guilty to the charges in May of 2015. He also said he had no intentions of removing any videos he made, and he refused psychiatric counseling, which apparently would have lowered his bail amount if he had done it. The trial was supposed to be on May 7th, but got postponed to the 12th. There were a lot of people outside of the court, like an hour before the trial. Yee was convicted, and his bail was reduced to $10,000, which his parent paid. The rule about him not being able to post online was lifted on the grounds that he removed the offensive blog post and the YouTube video, which he did, only to later make them public again on May 21st. Is this guy fucking serious?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
But we gotta take a quick detour because, for some reason, Yee made a Facebook post on the 13th of May claiming Vincent Law, the guy who paid his bail, molested him. Law was understandably not happy with this and threatened to sue him for defamation if he didn't make a public apology. Yee asked for 3 days to prepare a public apology, and he said that he was, quote, extremely remorseful for making such allegations. This statement aged like unpasteurized milk left outside during a summer heat wave, but we're gonna get to that. He posted another entry that same day saying that the allegations were words and that
Vincent Law didn't really molest me.
Law decided to drop the investigation after this apology, but then Yee decided to retract the apology and made a 6,000 word blog post saying he meant molest as in to annoy and not what any rational person in this day and age would think when a teenager says an adult molested them. The blog was titled The Molestation of Vincent Law. Unfortunately, the WordPress blog doesn't seem to exist anymore, but Yee claimed Law emotionally abused him, and his article says that he highlighted demands to meet daily, and that Law would demand without fail that they meet, and he would threaten to discharge himself as Yee's bailer. Yee also claimed that Law got angry at him and spam called him when he broke his bail conditions. And there's some shit about Yee crashing out because his crush rejected him. And then Law's son got involved, and Yee made another post called Responding to the Molester's Son. And look, man, we got so much other shit to cover, we're just gonna move on. On the 27th of May, Amos got called back for an urgent hearing because the dude refused to meet with his probation officer. And on June 2nd, he was remanded for 3 weeks and made to assess his suitability for reformative training, whatever that would entail. Yee, again, his infinite wisdom, decided to reject probation in favor of going to jail. And the court brought up how he had re-uploaded the content that got him into this mess.
Come on now, dawg. Come on, man.
He was sent to the Institution of Mental Health for 2 weeks, where a psychiatrist named Minidasa Winslow said it was possible that Yee has the tism.
Dripping with autism.
Allegedly. but they determined he does not have a mental illness. On July 5th, the night before the next hearing, he was admitted to an emergency department at the hospital because his blood sugar was low, and on the 12th of June, his lawyer said that Yee was experiencing suicidal thoughts at the prospect of reformative training. Is reformative training in Singapore like the Reaper indoctrination or something? Is it that levels of bad? Because that seems like a really strong reaction. But on the 6th, he was sentenced to 4 weeks in jail. 3 weeks for wounding the religious feelings of Christians in his Lee Kuan Yew video, and the other week for the Margaret Thatcher post. He was released after the sentence was announced, and he ended up filing an appeal in July. And this whole incident led to a lot of protests, including some in Taiwan and in Hong Kong. And the Hong Kong one apparently had people burning effigies of Lee Kuan Yew. So yeah, people were not happy with this. We're not done with his legal troubles. You see, May 11th of 2016, bro got arrested again for allegedly posting content designed to hurt religious feelings and for failing to report to a police station, which was a requirement of his probation. Bro was collecting charges like he's Thanos after the Infinity Stones. But on August 17th, he stood trial for 6 charges for deliberate intent to wound religious feelings and 2 charges for not turning up to the police interviews that he was supposed to. A month later, he got sentenced to 6 weeks in jail and fined $2 grand for the offense. Apparently, this is because of a photo and 2 videos he posted targeting the feelings of Christians and Muslims. He began serving that jail sentence on October 13th. Now, before we go any further, we're gonna detour for just a little bit. Bear with me here. This is gonna get a bit anecdotal. Around the time a lot of this stuff was going down, I was a big fan of many of the YouTubers in the skeptic community. Calling them a community seems kind of weird because not all of them were really, on the same page, but just for the sake of simplicity, I'm gonna call it that. But I used to watch people like Amazing Atheist, Armored Skeptic, Logic, Teal Deer, Bearing, Suit Yourself, IRA Bear, Sargon of Akkad.
2 hours later.
Count Dankula, Sinatra Says, Undoomed, people like that. There's a few of them that I still keep up with today, but that's besides the point. Through them, I learned who Amos Yee was because he made a video mocking the Quran. I should be a little bit more specific. I learned about him because a YouTuber who is Muslim named Adam Saleh had a very strong reaction to Amos's video where he criticized the Quran, and I watched one of the YouTubers who will fall under the skeptic umbrella responding to Adam's response. I, for the life of me, cannot remember which one it was. But I do remember Adam getting really aggressive about it and making some really poor arguments. They also got into a Skype debate, but I'm not going to cover it because it ain't relevant to the video. I'm mentioning it because that incident got a lot of YouTubers in the skeptic community to latch on and defend Amos, and when they found out how he was getting in legal trouble from the Singaporean government for the things he said, they rallied behind him, which made sense since they were all, or at least a lot of them were, advocating for free speech, and Amos having the balls to criticize the Quran and the former Singaporean Prime Minister and more aligned perfectly with what people in that sphere stood for, and he gained their respect. But that respect returned to justified hatred later on, but we aren't quite there yet. But in December of 2016, December 16th to be exact, Yee came to the US. He entered through the O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, and he got detained by customs. He had help from a Singaporean activist named Melissa Chen. She campaigned to get Yee asylum in America, but would later condemn him based on what he does in the future, which I swear it's coming. He did get asylum in March of 2017, but about a month later, the US government appealed and he was detained at an ICE center, but he was released later in September. As I said, Amos was talked about by a lot of people in the skeptic sphere on YouTube. I can't find it anymore, but I distinctly remember him appearing on Sargon's channel, and even had like talks at venues and stuff. Unfortunately though, due to what Amos Yee did later, a lot of the videos from this time are either privated or just outright deleted. So it makes trying to have a definitive timeline and giving you exact things to point to a lot more difficult, but he was kind of the talk of the town. People liked the guy. And of course, when you have all these big YouTubers in a similar space to what you do, talking about you and shouting you out, you end up with a lot of eyes on your content, and that translates into ad revenue and people likely giving him money through other means. But he continued to make videos speaking out about things and doing collabs with other people in the space, and he was on cloud 9. But it didn't last. The fall quickly followed. But as Yee was rising through the online space, he crashed and burned in spectacular fashion. He crashed and burned so bad, the New Glenn rocket got secondhand embarrassment. Too soon? Anyway, Amos, well, he burned all the bridges he had built because of the things he started to advocate for. You see, Amos started advocating for pedophilia. You've been waiting for me to start bringing this up since you clicked on this video, haven't you? Be honest. And no, I'm not being hyperbolic or making this up if you somehow don't know. I did try to find the exact time when he started doing this, but it seems like it was around 2016 because I found some tweets related to the subject, one where he said this.
Deleted tweet where I said I thought children couldn't consent to sex below the age of 12 to prevent misunderstanding, since I've changed my position.
Disgusting. He gets worse in another tweet and said he didn't know if babies can consent. Show the fucking tweet. Yeah. Just go ahead and get the wood chippers ready. Thank you, Kiwi Farms, for archiving that. There's more tweets about it and I will flash them on the screen because I'm just not reading all that.
Disgusting!
He became even more outspoken about it, even talking about it on his channel, and when the skeptics found out about it, he was almost unanimously condemned for it. He quickly became persona non grata, deservedly so. Mr. Medicare had a live stream responding to him, but the original video appears to be lost.
Wants to talk to you about fucking little babies. That's been his kick. He likes to talk about fucking kids. And now he's just recently uploaded a video saying that holy shit, I'm getting kicked out of the house, and I don't buy any of it. Look at his video history. You look at all those videos. All those videos talking about pedophilia. He's had debates with Count Dankula. He's had debates with Destiny. I don't even know if they were really having a debate or if Amos mistook Destiny for a little boy and was trying to lure him into his van with a little bit of candy. Take your stilts off, I like him short. Oh my god, this guy's out there, he's saying all this outrageous shit. He has to be legitimate. Well, that's our first possibility, isn't it? That Amos Yee is telling the truth, that he really is advocating for these ideas. Now, he tries to give a nuanced approach and say, well, I'm not saying I'm a pedophile. I'm just saying free speech, man. Free speech. We should be able to talk about it. Why is this a bad thing? I'm doing the devil's advocate position. Don't come down on me. I'm not saying I want to bang kids. I'm just standing up for my brothers that might want to get a little bit of toddler. And on face value, you might be inclined to believe it. Hell, you can look back a year ago and see that this guy was doing videos talking about the same thing. Child pornography is okay. Having debates about child pornography. So on that surface level, when you look at his videos, when you look at his social media that's been taken down, but when you look at it, it looks legit. Oh my god, this guy really believes this shit. That's possibility number one. Possibility number two, and we're getting really close to the truth now, aren't we? Is that he's just trolling. He's an attention whore. And he's always been an attention whore, and it plays into the thing that he does to garner attention.
And I could not find an archive on it on YouTube, but I did find an archive of an episode of the Kumite where Medicare and Amos got into a heated argument. According to the description, this was originally from May 18th, 2018. So let's see how this goes.
No, like, what the hell? You have people want you to destroy me. I'm assuming you have counter arguments unless you don't have any. Are you?
Well, I don't believe the whole shtick to begin with. I think you're just a huckster.
Do you? I mean, I linked you studies. Like most.
Yeah, that's great. You know, a snake oil salesman will usually invest a little bit in their gimmick, but I don't believe it for a second. I think you like to start fires. You're the Armand White of society. If you find a hot button issue that whatever group you're in doesn't like, you're going to advocate for it to get attention.
Okay, I know we just got started, but I got to stop it right here for a second because I do remember this being the takeaway a lot of people had. He thought he was doing all this for attention, that he didn't actually believe this stuff, and he wasn't an actual PDF. Even Sargon of Akkad at one point thought Yee was doing this as a troll, and that he was pulling a Jared Leto and method acting as a PDF advocate. I wish we lived in that timeline. But no, this was not a bit for attention, at least not entirely. dude was legit. But, to be fair to everyone who thought this at the time, given how he had a pattern for taking controversial stances, I don't blame anybody for thinking he was doing this to be edgy and to get attention to farm controversy. But let's keep going.
All the opinions that I share, I go to prison for it. Right now, you know, obviously a huge portion of my followers left because of my opinions on pedophilia. You look at the whole context of my YouTube career, none of it, you know, none of it actually shows that I would, you know, be disingenuous in my opinions just to cause a reaction. Now, admittedly, like you know, creating a reaction, you know, I like it, you know, it's fun, but that is not the main reason why I indulge in these topics. And if you look at the context, if you were intellectually honest, you know, you would not spread the lie.
Because nobody would know who the fuck Amos Yee is if he wasn't stirring up shit and getting arrested. I mean, fuck, you accused your bailer of molesting you. What's the background on that?
Oh yeah, I completely regret that, dude.
After he threatened to sue your ass, yeah, you completely regretted it. But then
I can
post directly after he accepted your apology, saying no, he did molest me.
Yeah, it was completely horrible. It's a personal fault of mine, and you bringing that up to try to discredit me is just intellectually dishonest. I already apologized for that.
Oh yeah, no, I would guarantee you nobody would like having their shit thrown back in their face. So what about the molestation? Were you molested?
As I said, I already admitted.
Were you
keep on pushing it.
So you were lying then, yeah? You made it up for attention. You made it up for attention.
Why do you lie that I'm a troll? I already said that.
Because you're blatantly a troll, Amos. Like, I can see through it. You're transparent as shit. I'm just amazed nobody else on the panel can.
Look at my new house, dude. Why did you lie that I wasn't kicked out? Why do you lie that I was making up a story? Where's your evidence, you piece of shit? Where's your evidence?
I said there were, what was it, 3 possibilities that you were either making it up or you really were dumb enough to go deep cover enough to get kicked out.
Your video spread the lie that I was trolling. I was making all this shit up.
Well, I'll play a tiny violin.
Call it speculation. Anybody
I'll play a tiny violin for you. I'm very sorry that upset you.
You're a fucking piece of shit.
I'm sure it upset you as much as you calling your bailer a molester, right?
You spreading the lie, dude. Yeah, you can keep on bringing up like a, you know,
well, no, I'm just
curious.
Why did you lie about it? Why did you say he molested you? For attention?
Buddy.
Are you like those chicks that claim they get raped, but they weren't actually raped?
Buddy, I've done some horrible things in the past, and I'm apologetic for it.
I'm asking you why you did it. You started a conversation with Gamergate, so if you want to bring up the past, let's go into it.
Yes, man. Buddy,
so I'm asking you, why did you make up the lie about being molested? What kind of an attention whore are you, Amos?
I'm not going to entertain. I already said I was sorry for it.
And no, I don't care that you said you were sorry. Why did you make up the lie that you were molested by your bailer? I don't care that you said you were sorry. Why did you do it?
But why did you break down during Gamergate? Why, when people set up Patreon accounts, then you're like, oh, you know, it's mean. Patreon accounts is mean?
He really does not want to answer that question, and the way he dodges it gives credence to Metokur's point that he was doing it for attention. Looking back at what we know now, Metokur was proven wrong. But Amos tries to attack Jem for his actions during Gamergate when he went under the channel Internet Aristocrat and tried to call him a hypocrite because he disliked people shilling their Patreons under the Gamergate hashtag. But Metokur himself has or had a Patreon, I don't know if he still does. But they go back and forth for a while, and Amos would continue to avoid Metokur's questions by bringing up Gamergate, and it's them talking in circles for a while. I'm gonna fast forward to a good part at the end. The whole debate, if you can call it that, will be linked in the description. There's gonna be a fuck ton of links at the rate I'm going.
I know, and it bothers you when you get called on it. I know that really is what pisses you off the most, when people see through your shit and then say it openly. Look at you smile. Look at that smile. It's adorable. You know that
man.
Look at that. Look at that smile. You know that. You know that I'm right. You know that I'm right. That's why you can't stop smiling. You know, you're like, oh god, I gotta keep this up. I gotta get angry.
I think you misconstrued a smile of you think this is the smile of me destroying Mr. Metokur. So, and it's more than 5 minutes, so I got your attention. Mission accomplished.
Oh no, you did. I popped on to have a little bit of fun.
And that is how I destroy Mr. Metokur.
That's right.
Wait. Then you'd be admitting.
Everybody, yeah.
Wait. Then you'd be admitting that I was right, and that you are a troll and an attention whore. You got my attention. Nicely played, Amos Yee.
And
Good job, buddy. Way to fuck that up at the ending.
And you would be admitting.
So close. You had it so
my
close,
god.
But you fucked it up at the ending. You got a little braggadocious about it, didn't you? You got
I'm just talking about.
Oh, you fucking shot yourself in the foot on that one. Oh, you shot yourself in the foot on that one.
Crowdfunding is fine.
Oh,
Dude.
that's
Don't be a
right.
dick about
That's
it.
right. You just fucked up. Hey, that's how I work. Took me 5 minutes to make you look like a dipshit by openly admitting you're an attention whore.
Hey, delete. Hey, buddy.
Keep on keeping on at the new shack you live at, buddy. I'm sure it'll work out well. I'm gonna go now.
Real quick, Jim. I got
entertaining.
one last thing. So
Wait,
I brought
hold
up what?
Wait, but like you say I'm an attention whore, but you just boasted about you having hundreds of thousands of subs. So come on, Jim.
You asked me how I was doing. You tried to imply that I was doing badly, so I'm just correcting the record.
I guess you're an attention whore too. So shame on you.
That's fine. I'm
real
fine.
quick, so Jim can leave. Jim, so I bring up the fact that he's okay with putting dicks in babies' mouths. So I bring up is putting a dick in a puppy's mouth okay, and he refuses to talk about it.
Well, I don't know why you guys are even giving it even the fucking slightest.
I think he's a troll, but if you're gonna troll, fucking go full in, fucking be.
Okay. Well, hey, good luck, Armand. I can't wait to see what new hot button topic you jump onto in 2 years.
This was not the only debate he had got into during his time, but before we get to that, I do want to bring up what happened on May 6th of 2018. Yee made a post on his Facebook that his YouTube channel got taken down for community guidelines violations.
Oh no! Anyway.
And he went on to say,
my YouTube channel and all the videos there have been completely taken down because of my views defending pedophilia.
At the time, he had more than 40k subscribers. The timing of this could not have been crazier, because this was a little after the time CNN made that report on how ads are being run on extremist videos, and it's kicked off one of the major ad apocalypses. Apocalypse. Is there even a plural for that word? But basically what happened was that article led to YouTube cracking down on more controversial content. That's why you may have noticed a lot of people who used to be a lot more edgy or swear a lot suddenly started censoring themselves. That's why. Well, that's part of the reason why. But I don't think you can get much more controversial than advocating for PDF shit. That's definitely a hard one to top. Dankula made a video talking about the situation on May 18th, and while he condemned Yee's views, he did think he should be allowed to say them and that everyone else had the right to tell him to get fucked. Pretty based opinion, I agree with that. Dankula also brings up how he doesn't believe Amos Yee is doing this for a troll, but that Yee was definitely trying to troll during their debate, which I'm going to circle back to in a minute.
Everybody, I know what everybody turns around and says. Amos is trolling, like he was trolling you in that stream. He was trying to be edgy and stuff like that, but I believe that he fully believes the things that he's saying, because see, for the sake of a troll, like let's go through fucking everything that fucking happened to him, right? He lost like thousands and thousands of subscribers when he started peddling this shit. He absolutely annihilated his fucking reputation, and everyone distanced themselves from him like immediately, and his circle of friends completely fucking gone. Right, either he is one of the most dedicated fucking trolls ever, like a method troll who could proper get right fucking into that shit, man. Right, like fucking, it's absolutely batshit. There's no way he was trolling. There is no way that someone would absolutely annihilate their own life and their reputation over a troll. Right, there's absolutely no way, absolutely no fucking way. Right, so I believe he fully believes the things that he's saying, and the things that he's saying are disgusting. He has every single right to voice that opinion, but YouTube, again, is a private company. You know, it can do what it wants, but it also can be criticised for doing what it wants. So, also the fact is, paedophiles should be allowed to say their opinions out in public, so that they can be challenged. Because I swear to God, man, winning a debate against someone who's pro-pedophilia is the easiest thing in the fucking world.
So, about that debate, the two of them had at least 2 debates, because the one I found is labeled as Stream 2, and both do reference the previous one. I can't find the original, and it doesn't seem to exist on YouTube anymore. And in another video, Dankula said he took it down himself because some of the things Yee was saying were likely to get Dankula a strike, even though he was debating against what Yee was putting forward. But we all know how YouTube can be real sensitive and weird about stuff and ignores context. But thankfully, the second debate, if we can call it that, is still archived, and Amos continues to advocate for pedophilia and claiming that an adult can have sex with a kid without that causing damage to the kid physically or psychologically, and I want to vomit for saying that. He claims he has peer-reviewed studies to back up his point, and Dankula, keeping it real, just says what we all thinking, which is he's just calling bullshit on Yee's so-called studies. I apologize in advance for listening to this clip, but it was just too good to chop up. I just gotta let it play as is.
The subject of the chat that we had last time was you said that it should be okay to have sex with kids. It should be legal.
Definitely, yes. And I linked you the studies, which people can see on my website. The blog post is called Studies Supporting Pedophilia. I linked you some studies that showing that the long-term effects of minor adult sex, most of them is harmless. So, yeah, actual peer-reviewed studies. So, what's your rebuttal, buddy?
I've actually worked in foster care, and it's completely untrue.
How the hell does your adult... No, hey, buddy.
But my actual on-hands experience with like lots and lots and lots of kids who've suffered sexual abuse.
Buddy, who am I going to believe? Peer-reviewed researchers, credible studies that are peer-reviewed, or meme shit poster connoisseur Dankula's anecdote in a foster care?
It's not really an anecdote. Is usually like one or two cases. Like I've worked with them for years. I've actually experienced kids that have gone through that, and it messes them up. It really properly,
and so has the researchers. And let me tell you, like as I said, I linked you to studies. All of them show that minor adult sexual relationships, most of them are harmless.
Yeah.
And
fuck your studies. Fuck your studies. I don't care.
Fuck my studies, dude. These are peer-reviewed studies. How can you just discount fucking evidence like that just based on your fucking biased goddamn anecdotes? Like, what the fuck is that? Like, do you value truth at all?
Yeah, I value truth.
No, as I said, like I give the question to the audience. Who the hell should you believe? Fucking Dankula, shit poster connoisseur on the net, or fucking
Amos Yee, the toddler toucher? Who's the most honest man here?
Don't trust me. Trust the fucking researchers, the fucking people who spend fucking years analyzing hundreds and thousands of fucking relationships. Dude, don't laugh. Dude, let me tell you, the number of pedophiles are like literally, like I found out, like tens, perhaps hundreds of millions of pedophiles in the world. You're fucking over their lives, fucking sending them to 10 to 15 years in prison when they've done absolutely nothing wrong. How the fuck can you just laugh like, fuck them, you send them to hell?
No, right. See, if they don't act on their desires, then they shouldn't go to jail for that.
If they act on their desires, but they did not harm the child, which I already linked you to studies, most of the adult-child sexual relationships are perfectly harmless, they're actually beneficial, then what the fuck is wrong, motherfucker? Then you're just putting an innocent person in jail, hundreds of millions of people in fucking a cell for 10 to 15 years. Do you understand how fucked up that is, motherfucker?
Kids should be left the fuck alone. They're not there. They're not there to satisfy anyone's desires. They're there to be kids. I don't care. I don't care even if it was in a culture. In this culture, right, cultures are very, 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 very different. Right, so in some countries it might be seen as a little bit acceptable. In some countries it's absolutely not acceptable. Here in Britain it is absolutely not acceptable to have sexual relationships with a child. And I'm very,
social
very
taboos
happy.
are completely irrelevant. What's relevant is what is fucking right.
No,
and what is right is that if a child has a consensual sexual relationship with an adult completely harmless, it should be fine. Don't fucking imprison fucking innocent people. And I also linked you to studies. All of them indicate that children do have sexual desires right when they're born. It might not be as horny as, fucking teenagers of over 12, but they have sexual desires nonetheless.
Yeah, Dankula wasn't even trying to have a serious debate about this. He was just mocking the guy, which is a valid response. Yee continues to argue that it's possible for an adult to have that kind of encounter with a minor without it harming the child, which, yeah, I'm calling bullshit. He also tries to claim that most PDF relationships are harmless and that stopping people from doing that is depriving them of a human right and is somehow authoritarian.
Right to jail. Right away. No trial, no nothing.
Dude, buddy, even if children are more prone to manipulation,
yeah,
most of the relationships between a minor and adult are harmless. Most people do not want to manipulate children into a sexual act. Most people want the child to be, consent to this sexual act.
However, a huge.
So even though they're more prone to manipulation, most of the relationships are harmless. So you deprive them of that, it's just fucking authoritarian. You're depriving people of human rights. Do you understand that?
That's not a human right, mate. I'm not depriving them of it entirely, right? They completely forbid someone from doing something forever would be authoritarian, but placing an age gate on it where, yes, you absolutely can do this thing when you are old enough to be responsible enough when doing it, and you can take measures to protect yourself. That's not authoritarianism. It's to prevent
you're putting an arbitrary distinction on age. You're putting an arbitrary distinction that because children are, more prone to manipulation.
Yeah.
And they should be deprived of that. But even though they are more prone to manipulation,
I am quite happy to deprive kids of that. I am very happy to deprive kids of that.
Then you're fucking authoritarian. You're fucking depriving people of human rights, motherfucker.
Until they reach a reasonable age.
Buddy, essentially, if an act is harmful, and not only that, it's actually beneficial, even though children are more prone to manipulation, they are still able to consent to sexual acts. And even though they're more prone to manipulation, most adults do not manipulate children into sexual acts. If you deprive somebody of, if an act is completely harmless and you deprive people of the rights to do it, that is fucking removing somebody's human rights.
Okay.
You understand that?
So basically, when we tell kids that they're not allowed to drive, so for example, in America, it's your right to bear arms, it's your right to own guns. So if you
hold on, bitch, no, dude, don't jump to that, motherfucker.
Come on.
As I said, I already explained the distinction, bitch. No. Do not fucking strawman me like that.
I'm not strawmanning Amos.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
This is an example, right? You just calm down and let me make my point, right? So sex itself, you said that children are more open to exploitation because of how mentally developed they are, yes?
I'll give you that, sure.
Right, okay then. So that means that if a child is in possession of a gun, because they're not mentally developed enough, there's great risk of them bringing harm to themselves and others, yes.
There's a complete difference, as I said, when you give that analogy.
There's risk. What I'm saying is there's risk. Obviously, with the gun, death is the risk. Death is a lot more extreme, right? Death is extreme, right? So the fact is there still is a risk for the child to bring harm to themselves, right? So what they should do is put measures in place to prevent any harm coming to the child.
Just like there's a risk of putting a child in a car, because there is a risk that they might engage, there might be a car accident.
Well, it depends who's driving the car. Who's driving the car though? Another 8-year-old or someone who's mentally developed enough to be able to protect themselves and act responsibly?
But you're still putting them in a car. There's still the risk, even though an adult is driving it. An adult is also fucking a kid too. Who they have the mental capacity to
I would more likely expect the adult to have the mental capacity to know not to fuck a kid. That's what I would like. That's mental capacity to me. To go, P's and Q's, say please and thank you, tidy your house, pay your mortgage, don't fuck kids. Right,
yeah, and it's completely garbage. As I said, not hundreds of millions of pedophiles. People are sexually attracted to children.
Okay.
You deprive them of fucking kids. Don't penetrate something in them. Just sexual acts like making out, non-penetrative stuff. Because you probably heard a kid,
Okay.
It's a completely harmless sexual act.
Yeah, he gets progressively more angry as this goes on, while Denkyu is just mocking him and ripping apart his points with some basic common sense. It's beautiful. I'm gonna skip ahead. They do start talking about the sex offender registry, and Amos argues that putting people on this list and having their info out there increases the chances they'll reoffend. Now, both parties do make the distinction that this is focusing on people who have done criminal shit with minors, and not people who are there for less serious offenses like indecent exposure, for example.
But you do understand, they did a study on the sex offender registry and letting out these people's public information, which you're in favor of, right?
Yeah, I'm
basically
in favor of
they said that not only does it not reduce sex crime, it actually increases sex crime because it increases the chances of reoffending. Those are facts.
How does that increase the chance of reoffending?
Because you put their information out in public, it makes them into second-class citizens, where they're less likely to be able to find work and reintegrate into society, and they're treated with more hostility. They go into desperation and they fucking engage in crime. Those are facts.
Right. So when you say crime, do you mean like selling, like crime to make money, like robbery, selling drugs and stuff like that? Is that what you mean?
No, the people who are in the sex offender registry who actually engage in rape.
Right, so them being on the sex offenders register makes them rape again, or they turn to crime as a source of income?
They become more likely to re-offend and they serve their sentence.
When you say re-offend, do you mean rape a kid again?
No, re-offend, as in they'll engage in another criminal act. They'll be more likely to engage in criminal acts, whether it be robbery or raping another kid.
Okay.
Once they serve their sentence after they've raped, they're more likely to re-offend.
Okay.
So
well,
letting out their public information is horrible. Do you understand?
Well, this is the thing: is don't break that law. Then, like, there are some laws that are unjust. There are some laws that are just. I feel that this law is just. You're not depriving anyone of anything. You're just putting an age gate on it. Basically, these people are still completely allowed to do this when they reach an appropriate age.
Hold on. No, I'm talking about once the person offends, you put their information out in public.
Right.
Their name, their address, whatever, so that everybody who just like Googles it knows that you're a sex offender. You're in favor of that?
Yes, I'm in favor of that. Parents.
Well, then you're actually increasing harm in society. Ironically, you're increasing the danger in society because studies show doing that increases their chance of reoffending, and increases crime in the community, ironically. And also the fact that when you put their information out there, you're giving the mindset that it's like mostly strangers who, over 91% of people who actually sexual abuse, they're actually either family members or acquaintances. They're not strangers. You understand? It's family members or acquaintances, not strangers. So this doesn't fucking help at all. It increases danger in society, putting their public information, ironically.
So people should be aware if there is a risk to their children in their neighbourhood, because it is the police's duty to protect people, but also to help people protect themselves.
Yeah, but it doesn't work. Do you understand? It's just being harming them for no good reason when it doesn't help them rehabilitate at all.
It's not harming them for no good reason. Like, see how this is the thing is. How happy, I know how I would feel if this happened to me, but see if I had two kids, I had a daughter or a son or something like that, and they were very young, and a paedophile who had in fact raped a child moved into my area, and the police did not make me aware that a paedophile had moved into my street, I would be fucking furious. I would be furious that the police would not make me aware of a danger so close to my home. I would be fucking raging with that. Because it's the police's job to protect me, but also give me information to help me protect myself and my family.
Yeah, but, buddy, with all due respect, I do not give a fuck about your own personal anecdote. You might think that putting out a fucking public information of a person who has raped once actually increases safety in the community, when that is just the complete opposite effect. It actually increases danger because it increases their chance of reoffending. Ironically, do you understand that? So I don't care about what the fuck your anecdotes say, I care about what the studies say.
So if we put people on the sex offenders register because they raped a child, it means that they will then go on to rape another child. Is that what you're saying?
They'll be more likely to do it because you fucking put their public information out there. These are studies, dude. Why you just discount the fucking facts and then put out your fucking anecdote and make yourself seem like you're right? You're not.
I'm just asking questions, man. We're just having a chat. We're just having a chat, Amos, right? I'm just asking questions, that's all.
I'm sorry, there is something just genuinely hilarious with just how wound up Amos is while Dankula is casually rolling up a cig on stream. Like, you can't make this shit up. It's fucking priceless. Also, and this is something I noticed during this whole conversation, Yee says buddy more than a South Park Canadian, and I cannot unhear it now. If you took a shot every time he says buddy during this debate, you'd be dead within 5 minutes.
I think a loving home is the primary factor in what creates a person.
Okay, and then sex is a form of an expression of love, buddy. As I said, I cited studies.
You don't need to fuck your child to express your love for them,
buddy.
Man. Come on.
I cited studies that show that the earlier a child engages in sexual acts, the less likely they're going to engage in delinquent behavior. Your audience can go fucking check.
Well, the funny thing is that you say as well is a lot of the children that I've been involved with who have suffered that kind of abuse when they were younger, actually factors into them being delinquents. In fact, a lot of them go on to prison and a life of crime.
Yeah, but that's a minority, you motherfucker. And as I said, you're not making the distinction between consensual acts and fucking forced sex. You keep on lumping every fucking age of 12 as forced, which is complete fucking bullshit.
I'm not saying it's forced. Like the child might,
Yes, you are.
the child might actually consent. What I'm disputing is that the child doesn't know what it's consenting to because it doesn't have the mental capacity to fully understand. That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna fast forward a little again because I just want this sound clip in the video. Straight from the... I would say horse's mouth, but comparing Amos to a horse is offensive to horses.
Yeah, but you're under the assumption, like giving a child food. It acts of a child. It is a beneficial act. So you're just when people engage with sexual acts with children, you're just depriving them.
Yeah, but that's because the act is solely for the child. If you force feed a child, it's solely for the benefit of the child. Right?
What?
And like, see, if you force feed a child, it's solely for the benefit of the child. This thing that you want to bring in seems to be a lot more to the benefit of pedophiles than it is the child.
As I said, there's a fucking book called Childhood Sexuality by Theo Sanford. They all say that children, right when they're born, they like sexual acts. Not only benefits the child, it benefits the pedophile also. So it's not only in the benefit of the pedophile, it's in the benefit of the child too. And not only that, as I said, I cited once again, not engage in sexual acts, less likely to engage in delinquent behavior. That's a fact. You want to discount that?
I don't think that's true. I really don't think that's true.
Dankula also points out how Yee keeps relying on these so-called studies and asks him if there was a study that said the sky was green, would he believe that the sky is green despite him looking out his window and seeing that the sky is actually blue? Yee said he would believe the peer-reviewed study. No, I'm not kidding.
See, for example, I can turn around and give you, here are studies right now that say that the sky's green, right? You can look out your window right now and see that the sky's blue, but I've got these studies here that prove it, but they completely go against the reality of what you've actually witnessed yourself. What would you say to me?
Well, your actual peer-reviewed studies that the sky is green, then yeah, follow the studies instead of your warped perception. Obviously, the sky
so even though you can see yourself that the sky is blue, you witness it, you can see it with your own eyes, but I have these studies that the sky is green, you would immediately believe that the sky is green.
Well, yeah, I would, yeah, because who the hell do I trust even more? Like myself, my own personal experience, or fucking credible researchers? If the researchers are scams, then yeah, don't follow them. But these people are actually like peer-reviewed, study the fucking data for fucking myself, you fucking piece of shit. And
Yee getting a little heated, ain't he? Because he has to know that this is fucking ridiculous and that his position makes no sense right now. Imagine for a second if a study came out and said drinking water of any kind is bad for you, will kill you. I don't think a single person on the planet would think that was true and would stop drinking water for the rest of their lives. Which wouldn't be for very long, mind you. Yee then talks about how he believes that possessing that kind of material, I'm sure you can figure out what I mean, should not be illegal. This is going to become more fucked up in a minute, but I'll just let it play for now.
So do you believe everyone on Earth has self-control?
Do I believe self-control? No.
Okay then.
What is it?
Well, that's the thing is, so see if child pornography was out there, it can inspire men to then go out and rape kids, right? It can. Like you've said, that people themselves, not everyone has self-control. Like you talk about consent a lot, but see in cases of actual child rape where it wasn't consensual, that happens, and it still happens, right?
Buddy, as I said, one or two people might be motivated by child pornography. The mass majority, they go to child pornography as an outlet to, not rape. They want to rape, but then they go child pornography and then don't want to rape anymore, or whatever reason. They did studies, motherfucker.
Okay, then so
people make child pornography laws. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, you gotta fucking legalize child pornography. Otherwise, that's what the data shows. Think it's funny, but that's the truth. So.
No.
I just fucking hate this world and these human worms feasting on its carcass.
I like how he completely ignores the fact that real children had to be harmed for that kind of material to be produced, and making it legal to possess would likely encourage these sick fucks to produce even more of it, meaning more kids are being harmed. Remember that clip, because you're gonna need it relatively soon.
In the business, we call this foreshadowing.
I'm just gonna play this other part just to kind of lighten the mood a little bit, because it is somewhat funny.
Because I don't want to rape anyone.
Yeah.
It's not something that I would do.
Buddy, I'm not talking about rape. Obviously, all of us are against rape. All
Okay.
pedophiles condemn rape. No, not all pedophiles. Most
not
pedophiles
all.
condemn rape.
Hashtag not all.
Yes, hashtag not all, you piece of shit. Dude! Buddy.
Yeah.
This signals when Dankula is just done with his shit and just starts turning up the rage bait dial, and I'm here for it.
You're fucked up too. You understand how bad it is, and then you just slap out the data. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, then they shouldn't do it. If they just have those thoughts and then don't act on them, then that's fine. If
That's
they
their sex.
act
It's
on
a
them,
fucking harmless act, you fucking piece of shit. You violation of human rights.
why won't you let me fuck kids, Dankula? I just want to fuck kids. Why won't you let me?
Fuck it. Buddy,
Come on.
I don't want you to fuck over hundreds of millions of people, dude. Like, buddy, would you say that to a gay?
Yeah, then Amos tries to compare pedophilia to homosexuality, like those two things are remotely comparable. Was he patient zero for the whole map community? The fact that there's a community of these people is making me want to vomit.
I just fucking hate this world.
He gets even angrier when Dankula starts reading out super chats, and it's hilarious watching him mauled.
Culture of discrimination, wishing death upon them. I know you're against that too, but this culture of discriminating against pedophiles, discriminating against hundreds of millions of people who've done nothing wrong, this whole culture of consent laws for sex, but also we need to fucking treat fucking these people better. Not only that, I need to stress the fact that over 70% of pedophiles, they find out that they're sexually attracted to children below the age of 18. So teenagers, majority of pedophiles, during their teenage years, they find out that they want to have sexual acts with children. These teenagers, then lots of them consider suicide, fucking consider killing themselves, feel really bad about their sexual attraction, but there's nothing fucking wrong with it. Do you understand that? Dude,
If you want to kill yourself, that's just called being a teenager.
Such a fucking piece of shit, dude. How the fuck can you say that, dude? No, dude, how the fuck can you say that? Dude, they're fucking contemplating fucking suicide. Just, oh, that's just being a teenager. Do you understand how much of a fucking scumbag you are for saying that, you piece of shit? Dude, what the hell, dude?
I'm sorry, man. I can't help myself sometimes.
Do you think fucking innocent people considering suicide, hundreds of millions of people, teenagers considering suicide, do you think that's a laughing matter, motherfucker? No, do you think that's a laughing matter, you piece of shit? Dude, my god. This guy, and I'm the fucking degenerate here, people. I'm the fucking degenerate. And this guy just like, oh yeah, fuck these people's lives up. Ha ha ha.
I'm not done anything. I'm just. Oh fuck. Right.
Wanna get another question, buddy?
Yeah, sure, man. I'll find an actual question.
You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing.
There's more, but for the sake of brevity, I'm gonna stop here. I'll link the full stream in the description. Like I said, unfortunately a lot of videos from this time are no longer public, but I do vaguely remember more people calling him out on YouTube. A lot of people who had kind of endorsed him before, they just straight up disavowed him for good reasons. Other people like Destiny were even calling him out, and I'm not about to go through that debate they had because look, all cards on the table. I find Destiny insufferable and I just don't want to sit through it. In December of 2017, he made a post about being kicked out of the house that was hosting him because he shared with the people there what he was advocating for. Valid response, but the post he made talking about the situation is so long that, you know what, I'm just going to leave it on screen for a few seconds. Y'all can read it if you want to. Anyway, around this time, seems like he got banned from Facebook and Twitter for promoting his pedo-friendly Discord server. This was the status quo for a while. Yee kept trying to make these arguments and people clowned on him. In 2019, she went ahead and made a response to one of Yee's videos. I'm not gonna go through it, but just worth mentioning because things only got worse for him and you have no idea how happy being able to say that aloud makes me. The date is October 16th, 2020. This is probably one of the only objectively good things that happened in 2020. Yee was arrested at his apartment in Chicago. He was charged for solicitation and possession of CSAM material after he exchanged messages and nudes with a 14-year-old Texan girl through WhatsApp. For the record, he was either 20 or 21 at this point. Some sources seem to be fluctuating on that, but either way,
right to jail.
If that wasn't bad enough, according to the Chicago Sun-Times, he made a post on YouTube where he said, even if he did sexually abuse a 14-year-old, it does not change that there is nothing immoral about pedophilia. That quote comes from the assistant state attorney at the time. The conversations between him and the child happened throughout 2019 between April and June and included nude photos that he requested and received from the girl and nudes he had sent her. He also told her to remove her age from her WhatsApp profile. The girl herself is the one that reported him as she reached out to a group that exposes these people, and I guess they forwarded all the information she provided to the proper authorities and he was arrested. During his bail hearing, Yee tried to defend himself, but the assistant public defender told him, and I quote,
"Do not open your mouth right now, Amos. Just keep your mouth shut."
Shut your fucking mouth! Shut the fuck up, you cunt!
His bail was set to $1 million and he was banned from using the internet while awaiting trial. At first, he pled not guilty to all the charges, but he later accepted a plea bargain in late 2021 where he pled guilty to 2 charges of child grooming and child pornography in exchange for a 6-year prison sentence and a dismissal of 16 other charges. 6 years is way too fucking light in my opinion. He was sentenced on December 2nd of 2021. An article says the other 16 charges were also CSAM related. So yeah, he's fucked. The assistant attorney, Marcel Taylor, said this: on several occasions, this offender did in fact request that she engage in those role play and sexual fantasies by saying, "Show me your naked body," as well as several questions of that nature. He was well aware of her age as she told him that she was 14 at the time of the offense. So I guess now we know why he was so adamant about decriminalizing the possession of CSAM material now. Anyway, his sentence was backdated to his arrest, meaning he was projected to be released on October 8th of 2026. That didn't happen. You'd think this would be the end of the story. It's not, because he got out on parole in October of 2023. The wild time that this convicted pedophile got let out on parole during October, the spooky month, is not lost on me. Cue the Halloween theme. Alright, never mind. Can't have shit around here. He was moved into shared housing with sex offenders. No, he didn't run for the Senate. If you thought he had seen the errors of his ways, you thought wrong. On October 23rd, he apparently made a blog post where he said he still supported pedophilia and even said he had plans to re-offend and return to Singapore. On November 5th, he made another post and he claimed he wanted to popularize the defense of pedos and illegal protests. He did not stay out on parole for very long. You see, 3 days later, he got arrested again for violating the terms of his parole, and he was sent to a maximum security correctional facility. On the 12th of December 2023, he was downgraded to a medium security prison. That's not even the wildest part. He's released again on his parole date of November 7th, 2025, and guess what? Guess fucking what? Bro went right back into prison for violating his parole conditions on the same damn day.
What will you learn? What will you learn? That your actions have consequences!
Bro went into the revolving door and went right back into prison. I don't know what exactly he did that got him readmitted, but this is hilarious. And it gets even funnier. On the 20th of that same month, he faced deportation back to Singapore after getting out on parole again. On the 24th, he got detained by ICE, barely a week after being let out on parole. Man, the legal system was just whooping his ass. Holy shit. He was getting absolutely cooked. It gets even better. You see, Singapore has something called the Compulsory National Service that was implemented in 2016 under the Enlistment Act. And Yee, having fled the country, was a defaulter under that law. This also carries a prison sentence between 2 to 36 months, according to Wikipedia. The length of the sentence depends on the length of the default period. And if the prison sentence wasn't bad enough, you could also face a fine up to $10,000. On November 24th, the Ministry of Defense over there stated that he would be charged for violating the act when he was returned to Singapore. He was collecting L's like rings in a Sonic game. And we're still not done.
Wait! There's more!
This year, Yee got deported back to Singapore. This happened back in March, and he was arrested a day later and charged with 3 counts under the Enlistment Act. He was released on bail of $10,000 on March 26th. His mom paid that apparently. I guess she's loaded. So now this leads to what I opened this video with, Yee getting his ass beat by Yuji Itadori. So the story goes that he wanted to attend the Dojima 2026 anime convention, but the organizers said, oh hell no, and banned him because they didn't want him doing some freaky shit to any minors at the con. To steal a joke from my unofficial stream co-host Slim, you know it's bad when anime degenerates are on site with you. Base response from the people running the con. But Yee, continuing to not give a fuck about rules, showed up anyway. And he probably wishes he hadn't because,
Roaming around and still tiger.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Why do you do that?
Oh shit. Oh shit, he actually came. Oh shit. Oh fuck. That's crazy. Oh shit.
Damn. Maybe I should watch Jujutsu Kaisen. Unfortunately, the Giga Chad that did this ended up getting charged for assault and causing public nuisance. This might be a nuclear hot take, but I don't think you should face charges for beating the ass of a convicted pedophile. Yee apparently didn't get too fucked up. I think his ego suffered more damage. I don't think I could show my face after getting my ass beat by a dude in cosplay. There's just no coming back from that, I'm sorry. You think after that he'd want to lay low, but there's obviously something wrong with this nigga because he was posting. He made a video of him fake crying to mock a guy named Wangan Brian. I don't know anything about this guy. And he also started spurging on Twitter too, claiming the police came to his house over the video. He even made a video talking about that. Around this time, his Discord server got suspended due to breaking rules about child safety. The fact that he had a Discord server after everything he's done makes me shudder. I don't even want to imagine the degeneracy in there. And then he started beefing with a YouTuber named Repsion. Man, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. But the two of them went back and forth on Twitter, and 4 weeks ago, at the time I'm recording this, Repsion made a video where he took a clip from a stream where he was talking about Yee and uploaded it to his channel. And in that, Repsion highlights that Yee now has a fucking TikTok, which is doing me a very big concern, to put it lightly. He apparently was on YouTube, but YouTube said nah bro and nuked that shit from orbit. But Repsion also plays a video where Yee talks about how he has his own site that hosts his content, and that he doesn't believe that site will ever go down. He also says in a video that he will never stop defending PDFs. There's also this interview he did with some channel named Singaplex. So yeah, unfortunately he's still active online, for now. I don't have the time or the mental stamina to go through all of that interview. I'm just gonna link Repsion's video in the description. Let's wrap this up. This is the story of Amos Yee, for now. Like I said, he's posting a bunch on Twitter and TikTok, and it seems like every post replying to him is mocking him and ratioing him, which is pretty funny. At one point on Twitter, people are posting random pictures of food saying this, insert food item here, ratioed Amos Yee. And then it would actually ratio him. But with the charges from the Singaporean government looming over his head, and Amos being Amos, I believe he won't be free to roam around the streets for very long. I'm just saying. But I do worry about the children in Singapore now that he's out there and now free, even if it's temporary. Hopefully temporary. I just can't shake the feeling that he will reoffend again at some point in the future if he isn't tossed back into prison. I do hope I'm wrong about that, but I doubt it. Let me know what you guys think. If you liked the video, please consider leaving a like, sharing, hyping, commenting, and maybe even subscribing. You might want to tick that notification bell because my upload schedule is... calling it a schedule, I think, is giving it too much credit. It's very chaotic right now. And while I'm on that subject, I gotta thank everyone for putting up with my chaotically inconsistent upload schedule. And we're dangerously close to breaking the 4K milestone, and I am terrified because I have nothing planned for that. But seriously though, all joking and BSing aside, I just want to thank you guys. I'm gonna go drink now to try and forget about Yee for a while. You all have a good one.